When I'm out in town and I'm looking for items to buy and resell, I run into other resellers around my area. They get to know me and they find out that I sell on e-commerce platforms. They begin to ask me questions. And one of the things that I find out from a lot of these sellers is that they used to sell on e-commerce platforms and they don't anymore. And the reason they don't is because they fell victim to a scam. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. Welcome to the Modern Merchant YouTube channel. Let's talk about common e-commerce scams and how do we deal with them. All right? I've been doing this for a long time and I have run into all kinds of different scams. Yeah, I've fallen for a few of them and I've been affected by a few of them as well. But I've learned how to deal with a lot of them over the years and I want to share that information with you. So let's talk about some of the common scams and in just a moment. Before we do that, actually I need to say this. Keep in mind that any sort of contact that you have from a buyer that has bought a product from you, they contact you after it's been delivered or during that process, any sort of negative email that you get from a buyer doesn't automatically mean that it's a scam. So I don't want us to go into this discussion of scams thinking that every single contact that's kind of negative from a buyer means that they're trying to scam you. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. Either way, it doesn't matter. If they're trying to scam you, you'll find out along the way. The best thing to do is to treat every sort of communication with professional courtesy and respect. Okay? So we're going to keep that in mind as we're going to look at some of the most common scams that I've seen in e-commerce sites. All right? So the first one that I want to talk about is item not received, also known as INR. You might hear that if you're on Amazon. All right? INR means that the item is not received even though the tracking that you have with the shipment shows that it has been received. So the buyer contacts you and says, "Where's my item?" or "It has not arrived," or "I haven't gotten it," or so on and so forth. What do you do about that? Well, first of all, like I said, this may be a scam, it may not. For the purpose of this video, we're assuming it's a scam, but either way, we still need to treat this with professional courtesy. So what I do is I reply with the tracking information showing that the item has indeed been delivered. Sometimes that's enough to stop the conversation right there. Someone's looking for an easy target and they're looking for someone to go, "Oh, I'm so sorry, your item hasn't been received. Let me refund you your money." Boom, they get a free item. I don't do that. I show them that the item has been delivered according to the tracking, and a lot of times that's enough to shut down the conversation right there and they just move on to somebody else. Okay? What if it's not enough? What if they come back and say, "Well, the tracking says that it's been delivered, but I don't have it"? My next step is to say, "I'm sorry that you have not received this item." Sometimes the delivery service will mark it as delivered and actually deliver it the next day. So perhaps wait 24 hours and see if your package arrives. Or if your package has arrived, are there other people living in your residence, perhaps family members, roommates, or so on and so forth, that may have gotten the package? Can you check with them? Also, will you check with some of your neighbors to see if they delivered it to the wrong house? A few times that has actually happened, where I get an email back saying, "Oh, my neighbor got it," or "Oh, my mother who lives with me had it and she didn't tell me until the next day." And then that solves the issue. Obviously not a scam at that point, someone who has a legitimate issue, and legitimate issues do happen with packages, especially if you're shipping lots of them out. You have to deal with these types of things. But if it's a scam, then they're going to continue to push on and they're going to say, "No, I'm not going to do that," or "I've checked and it's not there. I want my money back." Okay, so what do you do at that point? Well, at that point, they would probably have filed for a return on Amazon or on eBay. If the tracking does indeed show that it is delivered on both eBay and Amazon, since they're the big e-commerce platforms, let's just talk about them. If they file for a to Z claim or a return on either one of those sites, then what you need to know is that the tracking information should be enough for Amazon to cover that. If it shows that it's delivered, then any A to Z claim will be covered by Amazon. That's their policy. On eBay, if they have a claim that the item hasn't arrived, they want to return it, then you can have eBay step in and you can show, hey, this item has been delivered and that you're willing to accept a return and give them their money back when the item comes back. And a lot of times that's enough for eBay to rule in your favor and just shut down that process right then and there. Okay? So what happens if they continue to push you, saying, I want my money back, this item hasn't been delivered, it's clearly been stolen? Well, here's another tip for you. Okay? You can actually, and I've done this several times, you can actually tell them, I'm sorry that this item has not been delivered. I will actually file a postal inspector claim on your behalf, because if this item has been stolen as you claim or gone missing, then postal theft is a federal crime. A postal inspector will come out to your place and get information from you, and I will provide the information I can to the postal inspector. Please cooperate with them. Now, I've had to say this a few times to people, and if it gets to this point, if it is legitimately a scam, this usually shuts them down, because they don't want someone coming out to their house snooping around. They don't want to get any sort of form of authority involved. I cannot tell you the number of times that I've said this to somebody and magically the package has just shown up. Oh, it was under my kitchen table and I didn't know. I'm sorry. And then the conversation's over. I've actually had to pursue this twice, and both times the package was legitimately stolen, and we had to work with the people in the postal inspector and to get things resolved. And that wasn't a big deal. The buyer wound up getting their money back, and I wasn't actually penalized for it as well, because I did my part in it. Okay? Another tip that you can do is, if the situation calls for it, is you can contact the post office where the item was delivered from, and you can ask them for a GPS scan, or the GPS information when they scan the item, the tracking number, and they actually delivered it, showing the actual GPS coordinates of where the item was delivered, so you can say, hey, it was delivered at your place this time, this date, according to the GPS information. And sometimes that helps kind of shut the conversation down from a scammer as well. But that's also helpful in case someone is not trying to scam you and something has actually happened with their package. Okay, so those are a few things that you can do with an item not received. Now let's talk about a variation on the item not received, and that is that the tracking doesn't actually show that it's delivered. Maybe it's floating around out there in the postal system somewhere, and it's in a sorting facility, or it just actually never shows that it was delivered. What do you do then? Well, that one's kind of a tough one, because if you don't have proof that the item's actually delivered, you're going to be responsible for any sort of refund on eBay and on Amazon. Okay, so if they request a refund on Amazon, I suggest you go ahead and refund it. If it goes to an A to Z claim, then you're going to be out of options. Okay, but if you actually refund before it goes to an A to Z claim, and if you refund on eBay as well, then the option you have is to monitor the tracking over the next 30 days. And I believe it's 30 days. It may be up to 45, but over the next 30 days. And if the package is delivered within that time frame, you can actually request an appeal to that case. On eBay, I've had this happen several times where an appeal has been made and the tracking shows that it was delivered, although delivered late, but it was delivered, and they wind up charging the buyer again for the item, and I wind up getting my money. On Amazon, you can open a safety claim and you can show that the tracking shows that it was delivered, and I believe you'll get reimbursed from Amazon. I'm not sure if they charge the original buyer again at that point or not, but that's kind of irrelevant because you wind up getting your money anyway. Okay, so those are a few things that you can do to handle an item not received claim. Okay, whether it's a scammer or not, but we're just kind of assuming that for the sake of this video that they are. Okay, so how about this one? You accepted a return, the item comes back to you, you open the return, and it's not what the buyer bought from you. It's a brick, a box of rocks, something else entirely. Okay? Now, they can make a mistake and have multiple returns and just sent you the wrong one. You can give them the benefit of the doubt. Perhaps it's a scam. That's kind of a common scam. I see it less and less these days. But if that happens, the first thing you should do is to contact the buyer and say, I understand you're sending back a return. I received the return today. However, in the box was not the item, such and such item that you purchased from me. It was actually this. Okay? And If you want to document everything, which I strongly recommend that you do, any return that you get, videotape it. That way you can take still shots from the video, you have that as evidence, and you can show the buyer, this is what you actually sent me. In the email, you can say, I'll be happy to give you a refund when the item is returned to me. And at that point, if you have paid for a prepaid label, then at that point, it's the buyer's responsibility to actually pay for a label because they misused your label. So they need to be responsible for that at this point, the cost of that. You can also tell them, I'll be happy to send whatever item was that they sent to you, your box of rocks back to you at your expense. Please provide a prepaid label. If no label is provided, then I will dispose of them as I see fit. Okay? So if they send something different than what they bought from you as a return, that's one way to handle it. If they continue to press the issue and say, hey, I have returned this item, and Amazon or eBay is saying you need to refund something, I know on Amazon you can refund a percentage of the item cost. And I've seen debates back and forth on this, refund 10%, refund just 1 penny, but you have to refund something or else Amazon will force you to refund the entire amount. So my suggestion is refund as little as possible. If you can do a penny, refund a penny. If you have to do a percentage, refund a percentage. And then contact them, make sure they know that they'll get their money back when you get the item returned to you. And also make sure you always communicate on the platform that the buyer bought this item from. Don't communicate off platform. Okay, that way there is a record of all the communication, and it shows that you're doing the right things that you need to do, and that will look favorably upon you should an issue arise and Amazon want to say, hey, what's going on with this? Or eBay's going, hey, what's up? That way you have all that documentation. You're willing to work with them. You're showing them that you're willing to take these steps, and you have taken these steps, and that you will give a refund when the right item returns to you. Okay. If for some reason you were forced to issue a refund on Amazon, you may be able to request a safety claim for that and get your money back. And that way Amazon kind of covers it. Okay. So those are some things to do if a buyer sends back an item that's different than the one that you sent them. All right. So another one would be a chargeback claim. Let's talk about that one. Chargeback claim is when somebody who purchased something from you online, they have tried to return it, refund it, whatever, they didn't get that approved through the platform system, and now they've gone to the credit card company and they have said, okay, we're going to get a credit card company involved, and they're going to contest that charge. And so what has now happened is it has become an issue between the credit card company and the e-commerce platform. Let's use eBay for an example. It's become an issue between those two. So you can expect that your funds will be on hold during that time, but eBay should, or the platform should, like I said, we're using eBay as an example, they should go to bat for you on this. Okay, they should be on your side, providing all the information, any communications that you have, any tracking information, anything like that you have should be provided to the credit card company, and they are going to be making their decision. Now, one of the things about a credit card chargeback claim that really stinks is that this can drag out for a while. I've had some of them last 3, 4, 5 months before I actually saw a decision made and my money brought back to me. But during that process, I didn't have to communicate very much with the credit card company. Sometimes the platform would ask me for a little bit of additional information, and I would provide that if I could, and they kind of argued this on my behalf. Now, I will say any credit card chargeback claim that I've lost, I've been able to talk to a representative of the e-commerce site, and I've gotten them to actually cover that loss instead of it coming out of my pocket. They would reimburse my money for it if I've been able to prove that I did what I was supposed to do and the person was actually scamming them and lying about not receiving the item or whatever the case is. Okay, then that becomes an issue between the e-commerce site, the ID of the buyer that is doing the chargeback claim, and the credit card company, and that's kind of out of my hands. And they're gonna deal with it. And if the buyer does that, fairly often, then their account's going to get shut down on the e-commerce site. Okay, so chargeback claims, not a lot you can do about it, but if you keep all your documentation, then you can minimize your loss down to nothing if you talk to the customer support or seller support people and show that you did everything right and that you shouldn't have lost out money on that one. Okay, so that's for chargeback claims. So let's say, what if the buyer claims that there's something wrong with the item and they demand their money back and that they should keep the item? They don't want to hassle with a return. They just want their money back. Hey, you got this item, it stinks or it's broken and I'm not returning it, give me my money back. All right, that's a bullying tactic. And that's something that scammers use a lot. And the simple response to that is this: adopt this policy. No refund without a return. Simple. No refund without a return. You tell them that. You give them the option. You talk professionally with them. I'm happy for you to return this item. You can return it, here was a prepaid label, or, this is a discretionary return, meaning you're responsible for the return label. You can ship it back once I receive it, inspect it, make sure that the item is the exact item that I sent you and in the exact condition that I mailed it in, then I will refund your money. Okay? A lot of times there's pushback if this is a scam. No, I'm not going to do that. You need to refund my money. I'm going to do a chargeback claim, or I'm going to contact. They begin to threaten you a lot. Threat after threat after threat. Don't fall for it. If you've done everything right, you can prove the item was delivered. You have a good reputation online. It's good feedback, and you handle your customers well. You talk professionally with them. You can show, hey, I've done everything right. And the e-commerce site should have your back on that. Okay, someone who's being demanding. If they're threatening, negative feedback or negative reviews or anything like that, that's against a lot of the e-commerce site's policies, and you can report them for that. Okay, so don't fall for any of their threats. Just simply say no. No refund without a return. And if they continue to email you, all you need to say, you don't need to go through point by point and deal with everything they say. You can just simply say, I'm happy to refund your money once the item is returned to me. And even if you have to say that 18 times in emails, I'm happy to refund your money when the item is returned to me. It actually shuts down the conversation, and you're responding professionally to them. Okay, and it doesn't work you up and get you all upset, because they want to get you upset and they want to get you responding to their threats. All right, so don't do that. That simple policy, adopting that policy, should take care of it. Okay, so a couple other things. So let's talk about people who request to buy something that you have listed on an e-commerce site. They want to buy it, but they want to buy it off of the website. They don't want to buy it through eBay. They don't want to buy it through Amazon or wherever it is you're selling. They really like what you have. I've seen this happen. I really like your item, and but I don't want you to ship it. Can I come pick it up, or can you ship it to somewhere different than my address, and I'll pay you a little bit extra for it? Can we talk about it off-site? Anytime anybody asks for you to do a transaction off-site, that's a red flag. Don't do it. More than likely, it's a scammer. And I see this a lot with newer accounts or accounts that have very low feedback. And unfortunately, if you have a new account or lower feedback, you're going to deal with these types of things more and more. They target those types of accounts for a reason. So the reason is because they think that you're inexperienced and you can get away with it. Okay, so if you do an off-site transaction, just say, I'm happy to accommodate you as long as the transaction is through eBay or through Amazon or whatever, because you can alter shipping fees. You can they can alter their address if they want to. Any excuse that they make, you can find a way to say, well, if you do this on Amazon, well, then I can get it to you here, and it might cost extra. Here's the extra cost, and if you're willing to pay for it, I can set that up for you. And the reason you want to do it on site is so that you do have certain protections through those e-commerce platforms. Okay, if you do it off-site, you have no protection. All they have to do is a chargeback claim through PayPal or Venmo or whatever, and they're going to get their money back. And then you're going to lose out on the item, and they're going to keep their money as well. Okay, so just say no to offsite transactions. I always do that. And the last one is common scams are phishing scams. All right, we've probably all seen these, gotten text messages, emails, so on and so forth about, your account is under review and, I want to buy this item. Can you click here or, on this, and we can communicate all kinds of just garbage out there. But there's lots of phishing accounts. People want to get access to your Amazon, your eBay account, because they want to get in there and change either credit card information, they want to change bank account information, they want to lock you out by changing your password, and so on and so forth. They want to get your deposits deposited to a different bank account. That's one of the big ones. Okay, so what do you do if you're getting emails from Amazon? Well, the first thing that you do is, and we're going to use Amazon as an example, is you always check the address that the email came from. All right, if it's Amazon.com or something very simple like that, then more than likely it's an email from Amazon, and you should be able to be fine. But even then, I still wouldn't click on any links that they put in there. Okay, don't ever click on one of those links. I think everyone should know that by now, but let's just say it again. Don't ever click on any one of the links sent to you in an email from Amazon, eBay, things like that. Just don't do it, okay? Just in case it's not. All right. If the email address that it was sent from says Amazon-com or Amazon.com 138PF75, it's a scam. Don't worry about it. That's not an Amazon address. Okay, Amazon keeps their email addresses very, very simple. So does eBay. So don't click on anything there. Another way that you can find out if it is legitimate or not is go into your account and check your messages. If that email is in your messages as well, then more than likely it is from Amazon. And anything they're asking you to do, you can do it without clicking on any links whatsoever. Okay? So don't fall for any phishing scams. If you do, change your passwords immediately. Contact customer support, seller support immediately. Take care of changing any information you need to change and have them monitor your accounts for a little bit. All right? Just in case you do fall for something. That way, if you jump on this faster than the people who are looking to get access to your account jump on it, then there will be no damage done and they'll be locked out again. Okay, so those are just a few common e-commerce scams that I see out there. If you've fallen for one, don't let it deter you from selling on e-commerce platforms, because it's a great place to sell on. You can make a lot of money. You just got to know what to do and what not to do, how to handle these types of situations. And if you have fallen for one, I'm so sorry you've fallen for one. I've fallen for one before. I've lost money on it. And if you do wind up losing money, just keep this in mind, that any of those losses are actually tax deductible for your business. Okay, so it's chalked up to the cost of doing business, unfortunately, but you can claim it as a loss. All right, so these are some of the common scams. I know there's probably a few more out there. Maybe I haven't run into them, or they're just, I haven't seen them. But these are the ones that I've seen. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. I'll try to help you as best I can. So I appreciate you watching my videos. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and like it. If you want to check out the things I have for sale on my eBay store, it's WheeSurplus, WHEE. If you like what you hear, I also do commercial voiceover work as well, and you can check out my demos at govoiceover.com. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.